Authuile Cemetery, and we're going to pay homage to a soldier that goes by the name of Willie McBride. Now I know that some people might say certain things because I'm going to say this, right? That song about Willie McBride was written by Eric Bogle, and I'm going to tell everybody here the exact words that Eric Bogle uses, right? Eric Bogle, and all he says here, take whatever way you want, Eric Bogle validates people coming here, but he doesn't validate the narrative. He's super happy that people come here to respect Willie McBride as a soldier. Now, just going to show you one wee thing here, right? Eric Bogle wrote this song in 1976. So he did, right? Eric Bogle was never in this cemetery. So he wasn't until 2016, 40 years, right? There's Eric Bogle entering this cemetery here. Anybody can see this anytime they want, right? There's Eric Bogle going the first time ever to the graveside register. First time, 2016, right? There's Eric Bogle giving the narrative that I'm going to read out to you, right? And there's Eric Bogle in this cemetery saying and telling his thoughts. So I'll tell you a wee bit of a history about Eric Bogle. Eric Bogle was a young man, right? He was 24 or 25 years of age when he left Scotland in 1969, right? In 1971, after watching an Anzac parade, then he wrote the great anti-war song, and the band played Waltz and Matilda. Then, in 1976, he wrote the iconic, you have to listen to this, No Man's Land. That was the title of the song originally. It was later renamed Green Fields of France, and I'll tell you why in a couple of minutes. So, as you all know, the young soldier in the song was a William McBride, right? So who was William McBride? What regiment was he in? Where was he killed? And where is he buried? More to the point, right? Was he an Irish soldier? Do we know that? No, we don't, right? Was he a Scottish soldier? Do we know that? No, we don't, right? Some of the lyrics in the song may suggest that he could be a Scottish soldier, because Eric was Scottish. So he was. So why would he write about an Irish soldier if he was Scottish? Right? One of the lines in it, as you all know, is the Flutes of the Forest. This is played when it's practical at every Scottish soldier's burial. Right? This was a lament, and it was written hundreds of years ago. Actually, 100 years after the Battle of Culloden, and played at the burials of Scottish soldiers that laid to rest. There's only one person on this earth who can truly give these answers. That's Eric Bogle, right? So we're going to listen to Eric's exact words, right? As he visits this cemetery for the first time. So the story behind No Man's Land, right? The original title of the anti-war song, that obviously became known as the Green Fields of France. Eric himself states the reason for this was due to the massive success of the song. This is why it was changed, right? By Davy Arthur and the Furies, who recorded the song, was spent 28 weeks at the top of the Irish charts. It also featured on Top of the Pops. But Eric, right, being a true Scotsman and a shrewd Scotsman, he then re-registered the title, enabling him to get all the royalties instead of the Furies. So he wasn't that stupid. Right? So there's been a lot of conjecture about this. And I first learned this song in 1976 after it was written. A friend of mine, Ulster Cargill, played it on an ordinary tape while we were on our way home from Londonderry. Right? That's the first time I ever heard it, in 1976. So some people stated that he was a gunner, right? Not an infantry soldier. The statement was reputed, right? As records show, there was only a Gunner McBride of the Royal Field Artillery who died in France. I want you to listen to this. Who died in France on December the 1st, 1917. He was the son of William and Isabella. I don't know where this place is, but I'm sure many of you standing here will know where it is. William and Isabella of Ashgrove in Newry. So it wasn't about him, right? So as I say, the song was written around 1976, right? 40 years later, on the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Somme, as I've shown you, Eric Bogle walked into this cemetery for the very first time, right? So we're here now where Eric Bogle was. And these are the exact words that Eric Bogle stated. His words, right? So he looks and he says, well, there he is, Private William McBride, right? 21406, 2nd Battalion Royal Enniskillen Fusiliers, 10th of February 1916. He reads the tributes in the registry and he goes on to say, to see people paying tribute to Willie and thinking that that's the Willie that I wrote the song about. He says, that's good. And this is him. I mean, whatever drew them to this cemetery to pay tribute to these boys must be a good thing. There's still young men dying in bloody Afghanistan and various other places for some dubious reasons. And that's why a song written about a poor soul who died 100 years ago in World War I. Eric Bogle goes on to say, it's still got currency because it's still happening. You call it for whichever war you like. And this is where he's really emphatic about it. But the end result's the same. Dead young men. Right? Eric Bogle also states that he actually got the idea on his first visit to the Western Front, not in France, but in Flanders. He then says, we often wondered what it would be like to have a conversation with a dead soldier while standing by a grave, asking questions that could never be answered. These are the exact words spoken by Eric on his first visit to Authuile Cemetery in 2016. There's a Willie McBride here. As we know, there's two of them. And the one who's closest to the date I mentioned in the song is the one that most people think I wrote the song about. They thought I actually sat down here in front of this gravestone, and if not, wrote the song here, then got the idea and the impetus for the song here. Very romantic, and I wish it were true. It was far more prosaic. I wanted a song to pay tribute to all the boys here. Every soldier that lies here is a William McBride. Somebody's William McBride. He then recites the first verse and chorus of the song. He then says, I never thought I'd be here saying that. Eric goes on to say, it's not the fact that a gravestone that has a name, William McBride, that it suddenly makes him more real to me. And this is Eric saying this here. He was always more real to me than any of you who have listened to the song. Believe you me, I have lived with him the past 3 or 4 months. that it took to write the song. I had Willie in my head, at his face there. Firstly, I chose a name for two reasons. Right? The first one would be Willie McBride. Right? Didn't know anything about Willie McBride, but he had in his initial words, graveside. So Willie McBride came quite easily to rhyme with graveside. And this is a part that you have to listen to. He says, I wanted it to a Scotsman anyway. And the Irishman, as McBride is an Irish name, Northern Irish mostly. I wanted it to be a subtle reminder of the sacrifice that young Irishmen made in World War I. You have to listen to this part real right. At the time I wrote the song, the IRA bombing campaign in mainland Britain was at its height. Anti-Irish feeling was very strong at that time, and understandably. I thought a small subtle reminder to my listeners that Ireland had been a part of a great and mighty enterprise. It was a time for a subtle reminder to be made. The song in particular was very popular in Ireland than in other places. And Eric Bogle states there may have been multiple causes, but no man's land, for instance, was regarded by some sections of the Irish community, especially in the north, and in inverted commas, this is his words, the Protestant boys. He thought that the Protestant boys thought it was a Republican song because of the date 1916 in connection with the Easter Rising. Right? That year 1916 only means one thing to most Irishmen. He also says that in some communities in the north it was regarded as a Republican song under the guise of an anti-war song. Eric says there's always these people that know better than me. Yes, I know what he wrote and I know what he meant, but it's not what he wrote. This is from the Irish people. So Eric stood here in Authuile Cemetery and he gives the following narrative, quote, the amount of people and groups who covered this song, my first reaction is pleasure and pride. It doesn't matter who does it or in which style. The song has been done in operatic, it's been done in country, it's been done in punk rap, and he says he has a copy of No Man's Land in the punk rap style. So every version of this is very important coming from Eric. This is the point I want to make about what Eric Bogle says about this particular cemetery and that. Right? Eric says they all have their own validity, and the one version that he didn't like was done by J. Stone and Jeff Beck in 2014 for the Royal British Poppy Fund. He goes on to say, if it made one person happy and to reflect on the war and its cost, then it has its own validity. So what he's doing there is he likes everybody to stand here. He's validating. He loves the fact that you've came here to pay your respects. And he takes that on board quite a lot. So after hearing Eric's story, and although we are standing in the Authuile Cemetery, knowing that Eric didn't get the idea here at this graveside, he didn't write about the McBride here. But I also believe, this is me now, I also believe that Eric Bogle was immensely touched by the vast numbers who visit this cemetery and in particular this grave, right, to pay homage and to write lyrics from his song in their own remembrance, which is on there. This is what gives Eric, he has the validation to hate, and he says very, very proud that this song has in his words, this is the last part, quote, led people to come to this remote graveyard situated in the green fields of northern France. Every word that I read out there and every word that I looked into and the photographs and things like that, to me, Eric Bogle takes great pride and he has no malice or animosity towards anybody that says different, as long as people come here and commemorate the death of the young soldiers who fought in World War One. It's actually probably the most anti-war song ever written. So that's me finished that. I had to get that off my chest because I've had it for long many a year to say that, and now I've said it, so I'm finished.
To me, as a battlefield tour guide that goes with you everywhere, I didn't hear that. He just said to me he wanted to do something, and some research into that, wasn't there? Quotes, photos. And thank you, Jim, for sharing that.
Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
soldier.